Hello and welcome to another episode of the On Trade Network sessions. My very special guest tonight is Paul McFadyen from Maison Ferrand. Nice to see you, Paul. How are you?
Hey man, I'm really well. Yeah, it's been a long day of tastings and trainings all over the trade. But I just left a black top rum session that was full of people in trailer happiness because I wanted to come and talk to you guys.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, and
Okay.
it's great that you're busy because it means that trade is happening, and long may that continue. So Paul has been really, really kind and sent me what I would describe as a boatload of booze to try. So we're going to have a little drink while we chat. But first, if you could just let people know who you are and a bit about the company, that'd be great.
So thank you very much for inviting me to do this, by the way, Ross. I really appreciate what you guys have done with the On Trade Network during lockdown. I think any opportunity to increase community and get everyone together, exchange ideas, support network for people who are finding it hard, access for jobs, all these things are invaluable. So first things first, that's why I'm really honoured to be asked. And I imagine lots of people watching this probably know who I am because I've been working this market for a long while now. But those who don't, I'm Paul. I'm the brand ambassador for Maison Ferrand. We are a little cognac house that have made some very big brands. And I've spent the last 13 years working in the market, promoting what we see as the core principles as an ideal for a drinks company. How our brands can help our customers make loads of money. And the probably most obvious of those is plantation. Plantation is one of those beasts that's outgrown us. So as I was saying to you earlier, Ross, before we started, like 13 years ago, no one knew who Plantation was. And still now it's not a household name. Like when we've deliberately eschewed going into Sainsbury's and Tesco's and Waitrose because we're not ready to accept low pricing and sort of trying to hit or maybe lower the quality of our rums in order to hit what the same supermarkets want. So the way we've chosen to build our business is on trade first, on trade second, on trade third. How can we make our business so mutually simpatico with the on trade business that our brands fulfill needs that the on trade has? That if we can deliver the right product to market, that they make money and we make money and everyone's happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to pour a drink because it's evening time. We're chatting, and so to talk me through this, you've suggested I drink this lovely rum here. So
yes, that particularly special little thing you have there is something you won't be able to get hold of anymore. What I wanted to do was give you something in the enormous range that we do. Anyone who knows our products know that you stand still for 5 minutes and we've probably launched another 3 or 4 because the way we approach the market is relatively unique. The core philosophy of Plantation is embedded in who we are as a business. We're an old French cognac house, very tiny French cognac house in the scheme of things. We calculated that our entire annual output of cognac is equivalent to what Hennessy makes in a day, just to give you an idea of a sliding scale. However, none of the big cognac houses have anything to do with the full aspects of production. And so when I say the full aspects, I mean beginning with the back-breaking and quite hard aspect of growing grapes, toiling the soil and working your harvest, and then seeing that right the way through the myriad process of fermentation and distillation and storage and aging, and then blending and ultimate bottling that might happen 20, 30, 40 years later than the harvest happens. So even though we're tiny, we're actually the largest company that own our own vines, that own our own grapes, and see that right through to final bottling. Right, okay. And that's really important to us. The name Plantation is actually quite fundamental to our business because it came about because in plantation in French means a planter, like an area planting. It's a farm. Wherever you go around the rest of the Caribbean, so we're talking about rums now. So if you go to Barbados, Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, wherever you care to mention, where you grow bananas is a banana plantation. Where you grow sugar is a sugar plantation. Mangoes, fruit, whatever you got, like farming, agriculture is a plantation. And of course, the word plantation has some negative stains to it. So, I mean, these were brutal places where slaves were forcibly ripped from their places and enforced people that were made to toil the fields, and so and that stain really affects rum generally. But the concept of a farm is what unites all of our product, because we grow grapes and see that through to final bottling. With the rums, while we don't do all aspects of production with all of our rum producers, because you simply couldn't at all, because we buy rums from everywhere all over the world. But in our core markets of Barbados and Jamaica, we actually own the distilleries now. And so that gives us a degree of control in how we make sure that the sort of worker conditions to the quality of the initial product in the form of molasses or sugarcane juice, for example, is up to scratch. Control over fermentation using old techniques that are rooted in cognac or rooted in rum or rooted in gin production that we do, that are historical, that are sustainable, that produce beautiful outputs, and then control all the aspects of distillation and then the aging and everything. And so the product I've picked out is a product that, like, we could have done this in a number of different ways. I could have picked a product that that your viewers could have gone out to shops and gone and bought. And so we could have picked the Plantation Jamaica, our 100% pot still rum from our two distilleries, Clarendon and Long Pond in Jamaica. We could have talked about the product from the South Pacific, the Fijian rum from the rum coast of Fiji that tastes like cocoa and chocolate, and it's full of nutty, rich, higher alcohols. It's like Christmas cake in a glass. But then all those things are kind of encapsulated in the one that I sent you, Russ, that it's part of a program that we do annually, but in very small quantities, called our single cask program, where the cornerstone of our business is we're in communication with producers all around the world. Anyone that's making great rum, we're talking to them. More than talking to them, we exchange production ideals. We exchange barrels a lot. We're one of the largest sort of secondary sources for barrels in the world, and we send rum barrels to tequila producers, to gin producers, to whiskey producers, and vice versa. They send their product to us for aging. And our single cask program is about celebrating two levels: the output from a particular time and place. In this case, it's a blend of Barbados and Jamaican rums. So we want to show off what it means to be a Jamaican rum. A Jamaican rum for me is one of those beautiful things where Jamaican rums taste like Jamaican music, like Jamaican food. Jamaican food, of course, is Scotch bonnet and jerk chicken and rice and peas. It's wholesome, it's rich, it's in your face, it's loud, which is a pretty good way of describing Jamaican music. Jamaican music is reggaeton and dancehall. It's in your face, it's loud, it's sub-bass rich. You can put your fingers in your ears, but you're still going to feel it punching you in the chest. Jamaican national characteristic is pride and very upfront, loud pride. And so, surprise, surprise, that's what their rums taste like. Their rums are rich and full and textured and loud, and they aren't necessarily for everyone, but the people who do love them don't just love them, they absolutely fall heads over heels, and it's the only thing they want to drink. So we want to take that from Jamaica. In this case, we've taken some rum from Barbados, which is much more sort of settled, civilized, calm, harmonized part of the world of rum. It's a blend of pot and column stills. Not too long ferments, certainly not a short ferment. They're very creamy, very coconutty, very settled, very harmonious. And what they bring to this blend, the blend of this loud, proud Jamaican and this settled, coconutty, rounded, creamy Barbadian rum, is this wonderful harmony. And in this case, what we do with the single casks is we pick some interesting casks that have been used for another purpose and provide or basically take their nuance and add it into the rum. And in this case, this is a pet project of my boss, Alexander Gabriel, who I have to mention because the guy is a genius. He's my papa. He runs our business. Every drop that comes out of our business is done under his guidance. and his favorite dessert wine in the world. Like, are you a fan of dessert wines, Ross?
Probably not. That's probably not me, if I'm honest.
See, as a cocktail guy, I love dessert wines because for me, my favorite cocktail. Well, what's your favorite cocktail, Ross?
I go for strength probably, so I'd probably go for something really boring but strong, like a Long Island iced tea. But I like a mojito, or yeah.
Well, I mean, mojito, like you're talking my language then, because mojito is just a twisted daiquiri. A daiquiri is a mojito with some mint in it, like or would that take the mint away? And I think a daiquiri is the perfect cocktail. And one of the things I love about a daiquiri is the competitive tension between the sourness of the lime and the sugar that I find in really good dessert wines. Like a great Sauterne or Montbazillac has the sour intensity of the grapes balanced against the sugar from the incomplete fermentation. So you get a sweet sour balance that is more cocktail in derivation, that is then lengthened by the grape juice. And so it's incomplete fermentation. It's like usually a lower ABV wine that's just slightly on the sweet edge, but not always. Like sometimes the sour and sweet are still in competition. And my favorite, or certainly my boss's favorite dessert wine is from a little town called Côte de Léon. Wonderful little French town that produces this Sauterne, which has all the qualities I've just described. It is the sourness from the intense early harvest grapes and the incomplete fermentation sugar from that grape harvest, like finding its own balance between them. And what we did was we bought full barrels of the Côte de Léon dessert wine because we like drinking it. If you can buy used barrels, fuck that. Like the liquid's really tasty, so why not buy them full? And then we decanted that. The joy of buying them full is that as soon as you remove a wine from a barrel, the low ABV of wine means that the 3% of the liquid that is still inside the pores of the wood will start oxidizing very, very rapidly. And if you ship casks, if you empty them and 24 hours later, or more than 24 hours later, you start trying to use them again, you're going to start getting that old oxidized wine, slightly nutty, slightly sulfurous, slightly just off note. So we ship them full, take them over to Cognac where we are. We blend up the Barbados Jamaica rums, which are from the distilleries that we were involved in that part of the world, and then we immediately fill the barrel. We do this final finishing in this sweet, grapey, sour, intensely fruity type note. And so that's why I sent it to you, because I really think you appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to trying it, so I'll have it.
You get involved. Sorry, I've talked it up. You get it in your mouth, Ross.
I'm getting thirsty.
On. What do you pick up, Ross? Talk me through it.
Sorry, I've just tasted it. It's really good.
It's really stunning.
It's got a really great heat, but not crazy. It's just, it's just really warm feeling, isn't it? It's really really beautiful.
I mean, it's like the way I would technically describe it. The first thing you pick up is Barbados. Like it coats your mouth. It's very creamy, which are aspects that I always find very redolent of Barbadian rum, but like little coconut, little citrus. Then you get some of the spices from Jamaica that will start kicking through.
Yeah.
But all those will be sort of enveloped within the sort of warm fruit cuddle of the Côte de Léon, of that dessert wine, that sour, sweet, but intensely fruity type aspect which is on the finish. I thought you'd enjoy that.
You get different levels of flavour from first sip to when it hits the back of your throat, and you just get those extra flavours coming through. It's really, really lovely.
Of course, I mean that's Alexander would love to hear you say that, because that is the blender's art. like in spirit production, without really laboring this lot, that the role of the cellar master is to create barrels that are so individual and so expressive of where they were produced and where they were aged and the wood balanced against the liquid, that and each barrel might be radically different. And the role of a blender is then taking all of these individual notes and putting them into an arrangement, the orchestral arrangement in which there's harmony. And so within that orchestral arrangement, you're going to have things that are at the front end. You're going to have your sotto voce, you're going to have your little voice at one point. You're going to have something that's much more full and rich and like a bass line underneath it, and all these different nuances. And it's stunning talking to our production team that you think they're doing, eventually their job gets reduced into quite prosaic terms. And yet the way they talk is exactly like I just did. They talk in artistic, expressive terms of, you know, this is my bass line, these are my high notes, these are the things that bring harmony to this, that this is the shade, this is the light, that all these textures and artistic expressions are what we bring to a lot of our products.
Well, it definitely comes through in the glass. So, you know, absolutely well done.
You know, you're going to have such a wanky sounding brand ambassador on, Ross, like, because like, I know I've gone full sort of artistic expression, but trying to summarize like 400 years of cognac nuance in 20 minutes is very hard to do without really selling the dream.
But you know what, Paul, your passion comes through as well, you know, and I think that's really key. And that's probably, you know, when you talk about brands and how well they do in marketplace versus the larger major brands who've got bigger budgets than you have, etc., etc. It's the passion and the delivery that absolutely, you know, make or break a brand. And I can see that you're hugely passionate about it, and it makes me want to be passionate about it, you know. So it's infectious. So thank you very much.
Well, I mean, that's what I'd say. Like, so there's a line that Tom Estes said to me over dinner. Well, I've got drinks, probably not dinner, like years ago, more than 10 years ago, and it came up when it was his memorial, because obviously he sadly passed, and when asked, because he was the ultimate brand ambassador, like he lived the dream, he lived his liquids, he was Ocho Tequila, he was tequila, and but if you asked him, "Are you a brand ambassador?" He had a very humble and very profound response that he's not a brand ambassador. What his job is a brand ambassador maker. And it's quite sort of quite rooted. It's the same as bartenders will have this with trying to get customers to effectively be your like supporters.
Yeah.
That our job is to make like, if you're working behind a bar, to get that customer so bought into your ideal that they go and tell all their friends about it.
Yeah.
That they're effectively acting as a brand ambassador on your behalf. Yeah. They tell everyone your bar's great. They tell them that rum's great, that this cocktail's great, that people go and sing their songs like independent of you, that if you're doing your job right, you're making brand ambassadors go out and do your job. And that's basically been my job for the last decade and a half, that if I can get some young bar back really excited about what rum has to offer so that he dedicates his life to it. And I've seen this progression so many times, that guy 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track, opens his own bar. He's been singing a song all the way through, and they become like long-term customers. And that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, well, you're doing a good job. So tell us about then the last 18 months for you guys, obviously during the pandemic.
A double-edged sword. Like the on-trade has been obviously like moribund, and it's been so sad watching loads of my friends suffer so badly. We have done what we can. Basically, we sent mercy packages to bartenders. I've lent bartenders money. I've done whatever I can to try and support the industry. But as a business, the booze business has been in rude health because people have, like, they might not be drinking in bars, but they're drinking at home. And so our business is still up massively year on year and year. now's the time when the bars are open, that all of the support that we've been giving to people over Zoom and things like that needs to start having a hard and fascia, where I'm trying to provide as much training as possible for people, not necessarily to sell my brands, but how can I help their junior bartenders really get on the train for how to operate and deal with service, and how can I pass on my knowledge from 25 odd years in the industry to help people like settle down and really apply themselves at the coalface, because that's what it is right now. Like the industry is massively understaffed. Combination of pandemic and Brexit have just obliterated this industry, and so so the people who are left working this coalface are undermanned. So I know friends of mine that are doing 70, 80-hour weeks, like with no real end insights, because there's no people to start filling the gaps and start taking those hours off them. And so I know friends of mine that are close to burnout. It's one of the sad. What's the answer here? You want to stay open, you need to make money, you need to start paying back the rent deferments that you got during lockdown. But at the same time, we can't be burning out our people. And this is where the brands, this is where the industry, people like you need to come in and like, how can we help the industry? How can we attract more people in? How can we upskill the people that are junior levels in it so they can start taking more responsibility? Like, how can we make sure we're looking after the welfare of our people so people aren't being burnt out in 70, 80-hour weeks? How can we provide some balance in people's lives? Like, this is crunch time, and we're facing some quite unprecedented confluence of factors that are making life really damn difficult for operators and really, really damn difficult for bartenders, and whatever we can all do to help, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something I've been talking about quite a bit recently with the challenges that we're facing in staffing levels is there isn't enough work that's been done, and some people do it really well, but about creating a career progression for people in the industry, demonstrating to people that it's not just a stopgap, a part-time job. It can be a career. Sorry.
I lost you for a little bit there.
That's okay, because we can edit it out. It's all good.
So repeat what you just said then, Russ.
So yeah, just that we need to be better as an industry at demonstrating that joining the on trade in a bar or a club, or it doesn't have to be just a part-time job. It can be a career, and we need to demonstrate that it's an industry worth joining and staying in, because there's opportunities to develop through it, and that's what we need.
100%. Like I've said this for years. A high-end cocktail bar is as profound and as simple as the fact that the individual that works in a local boozer turns up, pulls pints, gets minimum wage, doesn't get tipped very much, and when they go in a shift, they reflect on whether or not they should get a proper job. The difference between someone who works in your neck of the woods in Cardiff and Penny Royal and Lab 22 and Canary, for example, or any of the good bars in London, or wherever you care to mention, the difference between the workers there is that when they turn up at work, they see themselves as part of a much wider network. Like the bartenders at Trailer Happiness I just left are constantly exposed to brand companies coming in and seeing in their way. They see they see themselves aligned with the world's best bars, and they know that they can go and work in a wonderful service first environment like Swift, or a nightclub environment, or they can go work in Chicago, or New York, or Australia. They know they can go and work as a drinks rep, hawking brands. They know they can become a brand ambassador and build loyalty and empathy with brands. And the world of drinks and on trade is available to them. And so, I very much appreciate your point you just made, that how you communicate that to the wider market, to someone who works in a Wetherspoons, to somebody who's pulling pints in a kitchen piano, that to engage those people that there is a big wide world here, and we want you to be a part of it. We want you to contribute, and we want to help you with your skills to progress, and any number of parties that help people open their eyes and then help people on that journey are all part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd be interested to know now before we finish up what your plans are in the next few months in the on trade.
Continue doing what I'm doing, man. Like out there doing stuff. Like, I mean, for me, I was never on lockdown. So, well, technically I was on lockdown, but I was working full time, and I was still doing either Zoom trainings or still going into bars and doing trainings, because you were still allowed to do essential work during lockdown. And as far as I'm concerned, training bartenders was my essential work, and it was certainly their essential work. So I was doing trainings all the way through lockdown. Of course, now we can do it openly in bars, and I can engage more consumers. And so all I'm doing the next few months is continuing to keep hitting that cold face, to educate more people about rum, educate more people about cognac, try and upskill as many people as possible, like try and get as many bartenders excited about his career, so that they want to commit to it, so they want to move forward and go on, and have a good time doing it, you know.
Brilliant. Well, I'll drink to that.
Yes, Papa. Cheers, Ross.